Welcome to Everyday Board Games. I'm your host, Daniel.
And I'm your host, Daniel.
And today we're back with another review. Today, Mindbug Beyond Eternity from Nerdland Games and
Ghost Galaxy.
Ghost Galaxy.
Just a caveat, as we've always mentioned before, this is a game provided to us from Ghost Galaxy from the Gamma Expo.
Yeah, that will not change our opinion on it and how we rank our games, because we will be doing a review today after having played it a number of times, and we will be breaking it down with 5 different criteria. That is ease of play,
So, replay value,
meaningful choice,
game immersion.
and art and production. Ready to get into it?
Let's go.
Alright, so first, Mindbug, just to clarify what this game is, this is a 2-player head-to-head battling game. Knock your opponent out by bringing them from 3 to 0 life first before they do that to you. This is co-designed by Richard Garfield, as advertised on the box. I do not know who the other co-designer is off the top of my head, but they make it very clear that Richard Garfield was involved. And in case you don't know who Richard Garfield is, he's the inventor of Magic the Gathering. And in case you don't know what Magic the Gathering is, we really appreciate you stumbling upon our podcast. This is about board games.
Or card games.
Or card games, just so you know. Check it out. It's pretty wild.
Interesting. They don't even have the co-designer in the rule book.
Right. So, we'll see about that. Anyway, we got a chance to play it a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to clarify a little bit of background first off. I've been a Magic player for probably about 25 years on and off. I was pretty competitive in the scene for a long time, and I played a number of TCGs from there.
I'm not a fan of CCGs or TCGs for that matter. I think there's one or two that I've really enjoyed, Keyforge being one. The other one is Disney Lorcana. So, and I think a big part of it too is I'm not a big fan of the head-to-head. Take other people kind of take that aspect of things.
Right.
I love the different styles like Keyforge does in Lorcana.
Right.
But, mind you, here's the big thing and the caveat, how we do our reviews. Even if I don't like a mechanism, my bias is taken out of it.
That's right. And now also, just to clarify, this is not a collectible card game nor a TCG. This is a standalone game.
Yes.
So you can play it just by itself. It's not collectible. Everything is standard. It's not randomized. But we just wanted to bring that up because it has a lot of flavor with TCGs.
And another thing, too, about this one is we're doing specifically Beyond Eternity, but there's a bunch of expansions that you can mix and match however you want to do. So a deck from here can go up against with a deck from another thing, but you just have to pay attention because they all have different keywords.
That's right. So with that being said, let's jump into our first category. This is ease of play.
And I'll be starting in the ease of play when we're talking about that is simplicity and familiarity of the mechanism, the likelihood of getting it to the table based on mechanism or theme or designer, and is it easy to learn, understand, and or teach. And for me, when we come down to it, we call our points Daniels, and I give a big Daniel to the ease of play aspect of this game. If you're familiar with any TCG, CCG, anything going out there, going head-to-head and fighting to try to take someone else's life points down, whether it's Magic the Gathering, whether it's Yu-Gi-Oh!, whether it's Pokemon, for that matter, you'll be able to get it. This one is also actually one of the easiest games to learn, understand, and or teach. The only caveat is the way the mind bugs actually work, how you have to learn how to do that. That's the one twist on this one. Even then, it's not that difficult. It's just when you decide to deploy that action.
Right.
And the likelihood to get to the table based on the mechanism or the theme or anything like that. The theme, I don't think, is going to really get people to the table. The designer's name would, Richard Garfield being one. Yep. The mechanism also, because it is that head-to-head battler, a lot of people like that, especially the little quick 2-player games. So yes, this is an easy Daniel for me.
Yeah, and if you're already familiar with a lot of like collectible card games or trading card games like Magic the Gathering, this is an easy way to jump into it. And in fact, this I would say is like, it's kind of like a simplified implementation of a lot of it. There's only a single number on the card next to the character's name, and that's both its power and toughness. If you know what Magic is, that you get that term, but that's just how much life it has and how much damage it does. It's simple as that.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, again, there is a reason it says co-designed by Richard Garfield. Not designed by Richard Garfield, co-designed, and they don't even put the other guy's name on the box,
exactly.
or whoever it is, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason they push that idea, right? Is they really want to get that to the table just on his name alone. But on top of that, this isn't a difficult game to learn. Basically, I'm just trying to attack my opponent. If I get some damage through, you lose a life point. First to get hit 3 times, that wins. The mind bug, the twist, as you brought up, it's a little bit complicated, but it's just, I could explain it in one sentence. It's as simple as once you play a card, I get a choice right then and right there. Do I want to take that card from you? I can do that twice per game. That's it. And I mind bug it and it becomes mine, and as if I just played it. That's it. Right? So this is a simple game. This gets a Daniel from me as well.
All right, moving on to replay value.
That's right. That'll be me. So replay value has a few different sub-criteria. First is length of time and scaling well. How long does it take per player to play the game? And does it play a multitude or a small amount? This is a 2-player only game, but I do believe you can play 4 players if you have multiple boxes. I don't know that for sure, but I do believe that's one of the things that they can advertise. Minimum number of plays for full experience. There is so many different versions of this that, again, you can mix and match. So the expandability alone is pretty good, but since you're using the one deck, you literally just get like I think 10 cards, and that's it.
And the thing is, it's a shared deck, so you get that deck, I get 10 cards, you get 10 cards out of that one deck.
Yeah, exactly. It's really simple. So you're not going to see all the cards even in the first, second, maybe even third game of randomly shuffling it up. There might be a number of games before you actually get a chance to see some of the cards, which is pretty cool. Or actually play them out in a way that you want to. Because if you play something really powerful, the other player could just straight up take it. And that might happen more often than not in certain games, but eventually you might be able to actually work it out where you take that card or you are able to play it based on how you've planned that accordingly. So there is a lot of replay value in there. And as you said before, they're all mix and matchable. There's a lot of different versions, a lot of expandability. This gets a Daniel from me.
And I don't disagree with you at all. This gets a Daniel for me. My only issue with this is, again, the length of time and the scaling well. Right now, we've only ever played a 2-player game because they got a lot of 2-player expansions. I'm not sure if it can go 4 players. We have to look up that part of it. Mm-hmm. If it does, cool. But even then, I wouldn't play it at a full 4-player game just because it's just much better as head-to-head. The expandability, there is a bunch of expansions out there, the minimum number of plays for the full experience. Even just in this one alone, we haven't seen the entirety of everything.
Right.
So, yeah, it gets a Daniel for me on replay value.
Cool. All right, the next one is meaningful choice.
And this one means impact of other player strategies, depth of strategy, tactics, or skills, and do arbitrary choice or AP make an impact on the game. And so on this one, I am still going to give it a Daniel. I do want to talk about certain things here. There is a bit of arbitrary choices because it's all dependent on the shuffle of the deck and how you draw up and the 10 cards you end up getting out of that deck. Other than that, it's not too much. The depth of strategy, tactics, or skills, this is where it shines because you're trying to decide when or not to use your mind bug to take control of a card that your opponent played. And so it's a very, very important aspect of this game because you're sitting there thinking, do I do it now and take control of this? Do I use my mind bug early? But you only get 2 out of the entire game, and you're supposed to play a 2 out of 3, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
So it's like it's that little push and pull aspect of that thing. So it's just when you use it, and that's a very important thing.
Yep.
And the impact of other player strategy. There's cards in here that can impact other player strategy where it can immediately destroy a card, or it cannot be attacked unless another card has that certain code word. So on that part of it too is like, do I play this card now knowing he still has his mind bugs? So both impacting other player strategies and the depth of strategy work really, really well together. So this gets a big Daniel for me.
Yeah, I agree. The meaningful choice on this, like if you've played strategy games head-to-head, like Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering is synonymous with trading card games, and we say that as an umbrella term for like head-to-head card battling games. But this definitely feels like it, and my favorite part about this game, which is also the gimmick in it, is the mind bugs. And I absolutely love that idea, is that it takes out the fact that you can't just build a deck that is designed to play against mine. You can't just buy a better deck. You can't do any of that stuff. You and me are playing the deck, or playing our cards, whatever we get. We're playing whatever setting we have, and we're going to do it as tactily as possible. And the fact that anytime I see you play a card and I'm like, man, that's going to give you a real big advantage. I could throw my mind bug and be like, nope, I got to take that card. And there was one that was effectively the game changer when one of the games that we played on it is just because it was just that choice. It determined like, and it was brutal, right?
Yeah.
But that was like unfun at the time. But at the same time, it brings out that is like looking back on it was like that's when that card should have been mind bugged, right?
Yeah.
At that opportunity. But you don't know that going into it
because you don't know what's coming up.
Right, but then the more you build, the more you play, the more you're going to get these strategies, the more you're going to know how to respond to certain cards in there. You're going to be familiar with more of this stuff. And so it's a little unforgiving for beginners, but that's where the depth of the strategy and tactics come in.
Yeah.
And so, and impacting other players, straight up just stealing a card out of them, like the one card that they play and go, nope, mine. That's major impact. Oh my goodness, I've never seen such a game-changing thing.
Yeah, and what I like about it too is like if you get your card stolen, you don't lose a turn. It just you get to do you draw back up and then you play another turn.
Right. That's effectively just like I just took my turn.
Yeah.
Right. Like nope, stole it. Mine. All right, carry on. You know, like I love that, and I think it works really well. So this gets a big Daniel for me.
All right, game immersion.
Game immersion. That'll be me. So game immersion has 3 also criteria. There is the game fun to lose, the player interaction, whether it's table talk, role playing, and the memorable moments. While I do think the Mind Bug gives us memorable moments in that fact, like if I'm playing like the best card that I have, I don't want you to know that that is the best card that I have. Or I might be purposely playing a less good card, hoping you'll steal that as per the opportunity. I feel like it's really strong in that part of it, but other than that, this has no theme. It really doesn't. It doesn't feel like you are mind bugging. I don't even know what the theme is, really.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the
aliens
title of this
controlling thing?
Sure. The title of this is Beyond Eternity, and this specific deck has a lot of manipulation with, like, cards that go to the discard pile coming back.
Yeah.
And there's another one, the other version of this that came out around this time. I forget what that specific one is, but it has a slight twist to it based on that theme. But again, it's not thematic. I can't give this a point.
All right, for me, the game immersion part of it, I will not give it a point as well. And the reason for it is, for me personally, and we take our bias out of this, it's not fun to lose this game. I don't feel like I am an alien taking over control or a mind bug taking over control. I'm just like, no, I'm going to use this. That's my card now, type of thing.
Yep.
There is a little bit of table talk in this one, more of the trash talking variety than like getting into that role playing aspect of it. So I guess half a point there. But even then, the memorable moments just really aren't there. Even something like Magic the Gathering can lead to a little bit more memorable moments because you were like, I did this and I did that and I tapped this and this went off and went off, and you're just sitting there like, what just happened?
Yeah.
This one, you don't really feel that aspect of it as we're going and we're playing. So it just doesn't really feel that immersive to me. It's still a fun game. It's just not very thematic per se. It's more procedural, if anything. And so I cannot give it a Daniel on that aspect.
All right, art and production.
So for me, very easy, the way we break this down, the art. The pieces and components, whether it's the card quality or the stuff that comes in it, like cardboard or minis or something like that, or the graphic design. We've talked about it before. Both me and Daniel are colorblind, so we like games that go the next step and make it friendly for us to see certain things, or they're not icon heavy or text heavy and stuff like that. So we come down to the art and production aspect of it. The art is fine. I'm not a fan of the art per se, but it is really well done. The pieces and components, it's a really good card stock, which is good when you're coming to these kind of games where you're going to deal with a lot of shuffling. What's interesting too is that they have these little countdown counters that you have to put together when it comes in, but they do a really good job about what they're doing, so that's really good. In the graphic design, my only caveat on this one, it's a little text heavy, and you have to go into the rule book just to get clarification on certain stuff like that. So I'm not going to give it graphic design. I think it should have just made it a little bit more straightforward because it's so text heavy. But the art's great. The pieces and components are great. So it's getting 2 out of the 3. It gets a Daniel for me.
Yeah, and you know, the exact same thing for me. I was thinking that same part is that, you know, almost any other like Eurocentric or board game company, You can tell that like Ghost Galaxy is mainly focused on cards, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's their element. But if this was any other company, right, there would be icons for each of those terms. Magic the Gathering never used icons other than the mana symbol. So,
Exactly.
I mean, or tapping it. You know,
Yeah.
that's what it is. This one, it's like, oh, are you tough? Are you this? Are you that? And it uses those terms instead of a way that makes quite logical sense.
Yeah.
So you have to look up those rules. Now, thankfully, all the rules are printed on the card. But again, that's a lot of part that could be part of the art or icons,
Yeah.
whatever. There's a lot of ways they could have done it, and I just don't think the graphic design is that great. It's not colorblind unfriendly. There's nothing in there that mattered, right? But the pieces and components and the art, they're both really good. So same reason, I would give this a Daniel as well.
All right, so when it comes down to it, when we break it down, this is 8 out of 10 Daniels. So great job for Ghost Galaxy and Nerd Lab. Mindbug Beyond Eternity, 8 out of 10.
If you've enjoyed listening to this, check out our other content on various other media platforms. As always, I've been your host, Daniel.
And I've been your host, Daniel.
And we want to thank you for listening to Everyday Board Games.
And remember, every day is a good day for board games.